Leah Williamson issues emotional rallying cry as Lionesses soak in the moment in front of 65,000. Welcome to Football Focus. Hope you're all having a great day. Before we kick off, if you love football, hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Let's dive in. Leah Williamson issues emotional rallying cry as Lionesses soak in the moment in front of 65,000. The roar echoed through the stands as the final whistle blew, not because of victory or defeat, but because of presence. A presence that stretched far beyond the chalk lines of the pitch. In front of 65,000 impassioned fans at Wembley, the Lionesses didn't just play football, they delivered a message about pride, resilience, and unity. A message their captain, Leah Williamson, put into words that shook hearts and moved a nation. Leah, returning to the center of England's defense after months out with a cruciate ligament injury, didn't just walk onto the pitch, she reclaimed a legacy. The stadium trembled as she walked out to a standing ovation, wearing the armband that had inspired millions the summer before. Her eyes weren't only focused on the match, they scanned the sea of faces. She saw mothers holding daughters, girls in homemade shirts, elderly women with tearful pride, men standing in reverence. It was more than a game. It was a pilgrimage. From the first touch, it was clear this wasn't going to be a quiet affair. Georgia Stanway pinged a long ball to Lauren Hemp down the left. The crowd gasped, rose, and applauded. Alessia Russo pressed high with tenacity. Ella Toone danced through two defenders before delivering a cross that just missed Rachel Daly at the far post. Yet what mattered more than the scoreline was the spirit. Leah, calm and commanding as ever, barked instructions to her back line. She rallied, she gestured, she encouraged. But it was in the 73rd minute, after a crunching tackle followed by a clean clearance, that the defining moment came. The crowd's reaction was visceral. Williamson stood tall, fist clenched, and roared. The sound that followed was thunderous. It was a collective exhale of admiration and gratitude. In the post-match interview, Leah's voice trembled but didn't waver. She said, "We're not just here to play football. We're here to change the way this country sees women's sport, the way girls see themselves. I was that little girl once, and I want every girl in the stands tonight to know this is their game too." The words swept through social media like wildfire. Hashtags like Captain Leah, this is our game, and 65K for the Lionesses trended within minutes. Her statement wasn't rehearsed, wasn't polished, it was raw. And that rawness struck a chord deeper than any marketing campaign could reach. In the dressing room, her teammates felt it. Millie Bright wrapped an arm around Leah, whispering, "That's why you're our captain." Serena Wiegman nodded from across the room, proud but focused. The legacy of this team, already rich with achievement, had added another chapter, one that wouldn't appear in statistics or match reports, but would echo in playgrounds, pubs, living rooms, and hearts. But it wasn't just about Leah. Beth Mead herself, battling to return to top fitness, watched from the stands, her hands clapping in rhythm with 65,000 others. She later tweeted, "What Leah said tonight, that's who we are. That's England." Chloe Kelly signed autographs until security had to gently usher her away. Kira Walsh posed for selfies with children wearing glitter face paint and oversized Lionesses scarves. Lucy Bronze gave her boots away to a 10-year-old who couldn't stop crying with joy. They knew what this meant. The statistics from the night were powerful, not because of the goals, but because of the attendance. 65,000 fans on a weekday evening, not for a cup final, not for a semi-final, but for a friendly, a warm-up. And yet the atmosphere was volcanic. No Premier League match that night could rival the spirit found under Wembley's floodlights. Leah's rallying cry was more than a moment. It was a movement. schools across England reported an uptick in football sign-ups among girls the following morning. PE teachers printed out her quote and stuck it on gymnasium walls. Parents spoke of daughters who now dream bigger. Politicians posted tributes. Broadcasters replayed the speech. Pundits admitted being emotionally overwhelmed. What Leah embodied wasn't just leadership. It was embodiment of years of struggle, of pushing against the current, of watching the men's game dominate headlines and investment while women's football clawed its way toward visibility. She stood for Karen Carney, for Hope Powell, for Kelly Smith, and the trailblazers that came before. She stood for Alex Greenwood's stitches, for Ellen White's tears, for Jill Scott's tireless legs. After the match, the team did a lap of honor, not because they won, but because they understood. The fans stayed, singing Three Lions with a renewed verse, one about daughters as well as sons. Serena Wiegman, arm in arm with her staff, nodded in satisfaction. It wasn't tactical brilliance that mattered tonight, it was cultural defiance. Leah took a moment alone. She walked back to the center circle, looked around, and sat down cross-legged, taking in the view. No camera rushed her, no media intruded, but the image captured by a fan's mobile phone soon went viral. Captioned, "A Captain and Her Kingdom," it became a defining photo for a generation. The FA, quick to recognize the moment, issued a statement the next morning pledging renewed investment in grassroots girls' football. Clubs across the country echoed similar sentiments. It wasn't just rhetoric anymore. The movement had weight. Leah's words were now policy points. Her emotion had become evolution. Veterans of the women's game wept. Commentators recalled how 20 years ago, a crowd of 5,000 was considered decent. Now, 65,000 people turned up just to watch their heroes sharpen themselves. Not for silverware, for symbolism. The Lionesses didn't just soak in the moment, they baptized themselves in it. They embraced its warmth, acknowledged its weight, and promised more. Lucy Bronze later commented, "This wasn't a celebration. This was a warning. We're not done." The players, energized by Leah's stand, started planning community visits. Lauren James wanted to return to her old school to speak to the girls who watched her become a household name. Mary Arps decided to sponsor new kits for an under-12 team in Nottingham. There was an electricity amongst them, as if a charge had passed through the team and into the sport's bloodstream. Leah's rallying cry found its way into pub conversations and radio talk shows. Some dismissed it as sentiment, but most embraced it as strength. This wasn't a game of niceties. This was an uprising, one not fueled by anger, but by promise. Even players from rival nations showed admiration. Megan Rapinoe reposted Leah's quote with the caption, "Hell yes, sister." Sam Kerr replied with a lion emoji and clapping hands. Icons of the men's game chimed in. Harry Kane tweeted, "Proud of you, Leah, setting the standard on and off the pitch." This wasn't feminism, this was football. And the fans knew it. It was evident when chants erupted outside Wembley long after the match had ended. Young girls tried mimicking Williamson's stance, pretending to shout instructions. Fathers bought shirts with her number. Mothers retold her words as bedtime stories. A new folklore was being written, and Leah had picked up the pen. The BBC's next broadcast led with the story. Sky Sports ran a special feature. Newspapers printed the photo of Leah sitting alone in the center circle across their back pages. "The heart of England," read one. "Her game too," read another. But through all the media noise, what mattered most were the invisible ripples. The coach who decided to start a girls' team. The little girl who asked for football boots instead of a Barbie. The boy who no longer thought football was just for him. The old woman who said, "I wish I had this growing up." It wasn't that the Lionesses were demanding change. It's that they had already become it. And in that change, people saw something beautiful. Authenticity, passion, love for the game. Leah didn't scream for attention, she cried for unity. And unity, finally, answered. Thank you so much for watching our video. For all the latest football news and analysis, be sure to subscribe to the Football Focus YouTube channel and stay with us.